But the starting point, therefore, is sensitive information. We would say, just think about what's the information that's going to get you into trouble. Identify that. Don't worry too much about mapping data through the organization, but work out who has sensitive personal information. It's probably going to be the HR team for the employees and contractors. It's probably going to be the sales team for customer information. There may be other specified groups, depending on your sector, that has specific information. Focus on those. Those are areas that you need to put in place a method of protecting, because it's that data being leaked or stolen that's going to get you into trouble. You could then start looking to segment the network by information group. And it's not hard to put in place some relatively simple segmentations that limit access to particular parts of the network to only people who are allowed to get there. The point about segmentation, it'll take a bit of money, it'll take a bit of disruption, but you're also trying to block access to non-authorized users. And for many organizations, the whole idea of users being properly authorized is quite frightening, really. They work in an environment where it's quite normal to say, Jack Smith is joining us tomorrow, could you give him the same access rights that Joan has had, because we know it kind of works for Joan. And the fact Joan's been with you for 20 years and has access to a vast range of things that Jack doesn't need to see is kind of irrelevant. So most organizations find the business of how to put in place practical access rights policies really pretty tough. But it's an area that you don't need to focus on across the organization as a whole. Just start by focusing in on those areas where you have sensitive personal information and the segmented part of the network. You need to then tie into that what you do when people's jobs change or they get sacked. Sometimes, even in this environment, people might leave of their own accord, but however it happens, you need to make sure that when they've gone, they can no longer log on to your network and access information they used to be able to get there. You might, in high-risk environments, decide that it's worthwhile trying to monitor access attempts, to track people who are trying to get into the network. We would say, in many instances, that's not really terribly worthwhile. It could be an investment of money you don't need to make if you can get your segmentation and access policies working effectively. So as I said, SAR response depends on your exposure. Somebody must own the process. You can get bogged down in creating a complex process. Many environments you could simply say this function inside the organization will own all subject access requests, and that's where all of them will go, and they're responsible for dealing with it thereon. Think in technical terms about email. That's where most of the trauma with subject access requests come, tracking down PST files and so on. Single instance storage is a technology which can save a massive quantity of pain. It's not expensive to do. There are a number of providers like webmail email services, not expensive to do. Lots of providers. You get a whole bunch of data protection benefits out of it, including, in many instances, email encryption as part of the standard package. And that's kind of a logical and simple and not that painful way for an organization to pursue the issue of dealing with data and email. The one fundamental thing you have to do, if you're going to allow people to have personal data on laptops or on USB sticks, is they must be encrypted. So we kind of say to any organization, if people have data and you can't manage to do anything else and you haven't encrypted the laptops with data on them, you deserve to be fired. It's kind of one of the most obvious basic things to do, and it's not hard to do. The trick, of course, is to make sure, again, that you identify those people who have got personal data on it that needs to be protected. You don't need to have encrypt every single laptop across 10,000 users plan in place. You just need to encrypt the laptops of people who have sensitive personal data. Of course, it should be boot encryption, and you need to work out how you're going to manage encryption keys. And those of you who are not in IT and don't do the stuff will probably begin to realize why most heads of IT would much rather deal with social networking as a problem, because all of this is painful, boring, detailed, and doesn't bring any obvious business benefits. But if you don't manage encryption keys, you're going to find yourself with somebody losing a laptop or leaving the organization, and you can't get at the data that you need to.